Hey, Gavin.
Yeah.
So you know the amazing, stunning power ballad you just sang about how this should be my podcast and my podcast alone? You know that podcast? That
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hit close to home for me. I don't know if it
yeah.
did for you, but it hit right here.
Um I didn't record it.
What?
So props to you. It's no longer in
Dude,
writing. It's
hold
no
on.
longer in writing, so
Get out.
I guess you're still on the podcast since no one heard your ballad about how it should be mine and mine alone.
It should be my podcast, okay? And look, viewer, I'm telling you this right now. Like, she's doing this on purpose, okay? Like,
All right.
it's because I'm different.
You know what
'Cause I'm different.
song we can sing instead?
Which one?
I'm just like you. You're just like
Just like
me.
me.
It's something anyone can
See?
see. So, hopefully, my fellow 2000s ladies' ears instantly perked up at that. That is right. We are talking about the direct to DVD early 2000s Barbie animated films
Woo, 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 woo,
that
woo.
were released on YouTube for a brief window of 2 days during my spring break, which was amazing. That's what I spent my entire spring break doing, and I roped Gavin into it.
Right, because surprisingly, viewer, I've never seen these movies before.
Wow, really? That's
Yeah, I know.
surprising.
I know, right? But here's the thing. I was open to these because I've heard, because here's the thing. I,
I told you
I already,
Martin Short and Kelsey Grammer were in them,
oh, we'll get to
and
that.
then you were sad.
We'll get to that. But it's not just for that. Basically, here's the thing. When we grow up, especially depending on wherever you come from, you always watch movies and you have miniature cult classics, like movies you grew up on when you were a kid, right?
Hmm.
And like for example, like you might have a movie. Here's the thing. Here's what I'll never understand. I'll never understand anyone who's like I don't like I would never watch a Barbie movie because I don't like girl stuff. But then we watch like garbage like Clutch Powers, like Lego Clutch Powers. If anyone here knows what Clutch Powers is, you know me. You understand who I am. But okay, here's the thing. I think that is a silly thing that I feel like people would also make fun of. So I feel like just dismissing DVD
Hmm.
Barbie movies is not important. I think, there could be more of a thing there because 2 years ago, a little movie by director Greta Gerwig came out called Barbie, rejuvenated interest in this
Hmm.
brand as a film thing. But
Yeah.
there's been a long series of these animated Barbie movies that have
Yes.
been coming out.
Early
And
first one was 2003, and they spread all the way into the mid 2010s.
no, I think they made a new one like a couple years ago, like the CG
We don't
ones.
count those.
Oh,
Um, little tidbit with Barbie. All my girlies will know this. The better the animation, the worse they got.
right.
Like once the animation was actually good, the plot was terrible.
So it's like golf, where it's like the higher the score, the worse it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we
That should be
don't
the tag.
we don't
That should be the tagline of the Barbie fandom. Barbie, it's like golf.
we don't really, for me at least, that era of Barbie movies really started to go downhill around the film called Fairy Secret and like Fashion Fairy Tale. They were still good, but it was just kind of downhill from there because there was this shift where at first Barbie was playing characters, but then once there was an in-universe explanation for this, I kid you not. Eventually, they started shifting where Barbie was just an actress in all of these films, and they would
I
call
thought that was kind
back
of. I thought that was kind of assumed because like, isn't the whole pitch of like Princess and the Pauper? It's like Barbie
Barbie
in.
as, yeah. But they really lean into the later films. So they'll be like, in the film Fashion Fairy Tale, Barbie's like, I was in a movie called Three Musketeers, and there was these secret doorways, which is like what happens in the Barbie and Three Musketeers. Um, but around the time when Barbie becomes more Barbie instead of Barbie as, is when it kind of started going downhill.
Isn't that kind of? Like, I kind of view that as like kind of a funny Bugs Bunnyism. Like he's
It
like,
is, and at first it was funny, and then they kind of did it a little too much.
that makes sense.
But Barbie Life in the Dream House, that still slaps.
Yeah.
Um, but what's interesting is none of it was even there wasn't even an Easter egg. Nothing of it was acknowledged in the Gerwig film. And I'm a little
Right.
bummed. We didn't even get Bibble. Of all people, we didn't get Bibble. And I know you weren't introduced to Bibbo, and that is a crime. But we didn't get Bibble. He was like the sidekick of all sidekicks. He's this little take a gremlin, make them blue with little pink polka dots and wings.
Okay.
And that's Bibble.
Bibble.
And he's like, wait,
is that the thing that looks like Sully from Monsters Inc?
Yeah. That's Bibble.
How did I know what that was without even like?
That's Bibble.
Oh, that's
Bibble's an icon.
Oh my god.
Like,
okay.
you didn't even get Bibble.
Where's the Bibble? Anyway.
I mean, I'll go into this. Go ahead.
I pitched this episode because I like the Greta Gerwig Barbie movie. I know you're more mixed on it than I am.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I have my little things with it, but overall, I really like the movie. I think it's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of Gerwig's decisions, and I do think it's more based on the toy than it is the movie, which I think is a smart choice, because I do think it's a movie that stands on its own.
But I would have liked a bit more acknowledgement of...
Right, like more references.
Yeah,
that would have been cool.
Like, maybe someone's in one of the dresses, or Bibble's flying around in a singular shot, like...
But I was less about that, and less about references, but more, like, thematically, in terms of, like, theme, and in terms of maybe the sense of humor. Is there anything in these movies that could perhaps carry over?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
Well, maybe we'll come to more of an answer.
We'll come to more of an answer. I want to mainly discuss. There's been umpteen million video essays already on the Gerwig movie, but we want to be different here at the Hot Takes.
Right. And we'll get into that later. But for right now, we're focusing on the trenches. We're going in the trenches.
The trenches. The crappy animation, Uncanny Valley trenches.
I want to point at the camera like, you, my friend, you're gonna get it, and you're gonna get it good. That's gonna sound great in the audio.
Thanks.
Whatever it peaks, just keep it. Anyway, so
these are my childhood films. So anything I want to ask you, Gavin, has just seeing these films. For me, they're not great, but I still love them. I'm still laughing. But these are my childhood films, so I kind of have that bias. As someone coming in completely, like, this is like head first into these. What did you think of them, just on their own?
Okay, so I watched two of these. I watched Swan Lake, and I watched Princess and the Pauper.
Not Pop Star, Pauper. The good one.
Pauper. Okay, so I'll tell you this. When I go into these movies, I look at it like this, right? I watch them, and part of me says, okay, so what is this as a movie, and also as a kid's movie, because it's still a kid's movie. I think at the end of the day, these are good kids movies. They're not annoying. I don't think these could be like I've seen worse on an annoying level. Here's my thing. I watched Swan Lake first, and I guess I'll keep it brief and then we'll go into it. I thought Swan Lake was fine. I think there were small parts I liked in it, but I more just was like kind of bored by some of Swan Lake. I was originally like, okay, this is fine. This is some things I like, and like, whatever. I like some of this. I like some of the dancing is fun, whatever. But I just really wasn't into it. Then I watched Princess and the Pauper, and I was like, oh wait, this is kind of fire, actually. I dig it. I dig Princess and the Pauper, man. Yeah. That one. I
Martin
think
Short his own villain song is one of the best decisions.
Honestly, just making the thing a musical is a good choice. Like, I'll get into Martin Short in a minute, because I originally thought, oh, my favorite part of this was going to be Martin Short. But honestly, like, it is. But like, there's so much to this movie I really like. I just thought it was really charming and cute. I thought it was funny. I thought the musical numbers actually weren't that bad. Granted, I did think it was a little eerie. Was it the same voice actor for both of the Barbie characters? Because like, that was a little eerie to have.
It's the same voice actor for every Barbie movie.
No, but here's the thing. I think Barbie singing with Barbie's a little eerie. It's a little eerie.
It's a little. They were different singing voices, though. The singing voices were different, but the actual voice was the same.
Right, but point is, I actually thought that one was really good. Swan Lake, I think in comparison, I just don't think hold up. So
Swan Lake was also one of their early ones, because a lot of
weren't they right back and back? I think they were like 1 year apart.
Yeah, but their first one was Barbie Nutcracker. A lot of their super early. That's why a lot of I have a ballet background, for those of you.
So that's why I was like, originally when I said I didn't like Swan Lake, I was like, please don't kill me.
For those of you who don't know me personally, I have a ballet background. So I grew up in my living room, like, learning these dances and still doing them. I tried to redo them over spring break, and I'm now retired as a dancer, and I'm like, oh, I'm humbled. But like, a lot of the first film was Barbie and the Nutcracker, then it was Swan Lake, and then they continued to do a lot of dance films. I will say Swan Lake isn't one of my... I like it as a ballet, because they were like got actual ballerinas and recorded them and animated.
Oh yeah, mocap. It was like mocap.
They did that for like a lot of them. So some of the dancer ones are iffy, but when they get more into the musicals, that's when it popped off.
I think Princess and the Pauper is actually pretty good, but we'll get to that. Swan Lake, I'll try to summarize what I thought the plot was from what I remember. Okay, so starts off.
Yeah.
There's a girl. Was it like Barbie's like cousin? Like, who was the relation between the neat like
I think
this?
it's her sister.
Her sister. So I'll call her Barbus. I'll call her Barbus. So Barbus
It's not
is
Chelsea yet. Chelsea hasn't been created yet, but you can say
right.
Chelsea for lack of a better
Right.
word.
It's now called Barbus. So Barbus, which don't look it up. Once again, don't look it up. Don't look it up. Don't do it. Barbus. Barbus is like, oh man, everyone's gonna make fun of me. I don't feel confident in my own skin. And Barbie's like, all right, let me tell you a story. So then it becomes Swan Lake, and like, so there's like a bird. What was the part of the beginning with the bird? Was she just like
She just fell into the dough when Barbie was like, "Oh look, a bird."
a bird? And so it's like the plot of Swan Lake or whatever. And
It follows
so
the plot of the ballet, but like a more watered down version.
right, it's more water. You know, it's cute. You know, whatever. There's like, I think one of my favorite scenes is like the prince guy. He's like doing the archery thing.
I love the early Barbie princes. Oh my goodness, they are.
So this guy's so funny because like one of my favorite lines in all these is just like him going like the guy goes, "Oh, you can't shoot that. It's impossible." And he goes, "Impossible. My favorite word."
The Barbie one-liners. Oh, I will say I'm a bit traumatized from
And
them.
I will be honest. I will do that whenever doing anything. It's like, you can't eat that. Eat. My favorite word. Consider it ate. My favorite word.
Oh my goodness.
But no, that went crazy. But then, okay, so I'm kind of vibing with the movie, and then a freaking unicorn pops up, and I'm like, okay, who invited him?
Yeah.
Who invited him? So
The obligatory animal sidekick. Yeah.
So this dude shows up, and she's
a
running
girl.
around town. Yeah, whatever, dude. This dude shows up, and she's like a unicorn, and she's running around, and so a bunch of people trying to hunt her. But what gets me about it is like, okay, so they're trying to hunt her, and then like it's like it's a menace. Then again, she's like pushing logs down to like attack the villagers.
Yeah,
And
that
then she's
unicorn's
like,
a menace.
no, but what gets me is like you're not gonna see what I'm doing, but like she knocks over a log, probably gives someone like a traumatic injury, and then just goes like, there's just a little dance for no reason. I'm like, get out of there! Like, what are you doing? Like she starts like hitting a jig, like she starts like hitting that game stuff. He starts going crazy, and I'm like, all right, we're vibing. And then it starts talking, and I'm like, oh my god, like I hate this voice. Like stop. Then the fairy forest, like the lady of the forest shows up, and then lady of the forest shows up, and then it tells of a tale of like the evil wizard. And then this evil wizard shows up, and it's Frasier. And I'm a big Frasier fan. So when I see Frasier pop out, I'm thinking like, Niles. I'm in a Barbie movie, Niles. Frasier, and maybe you had a Pinot Noir.
And then his daughter is that one annoying girl from Friends.
Really? Wait, what?
Yeah, the daughter, Odile, is that one. Oh my! Like it's the same actress from Friends. Yeah,
one?
that's the same
Oh
actress.
wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, no, I was confused about that. Well, what was the relation with that one girl that was with Frasier? Like she was like, ee!
That's his daughter. That's Odile.
That's the daughter?
That's Odile. It's Odette and
Oh.
Odile.
That's so funny. What if like I had a son? Okay, my name is Gavin. By the way, if you don't watch this podcast, this is like he just randomly jumps and says it. What if I name my daughter Gava?
Well, because
Yeah,
in
I'm
the original
Gavin.
ballet, it's like the same dancer who plays Odette and Odile, and this is the whole thing. Like kind of one of the biggest honors in ballet.
No, it's Frasier.
Nah, Frasier.
It's Frasier time.
Yeah, talk about a family reunion.
It's Frasier time. But okay, so I thought the movie here was fine. What was the whole deal with like the animals? Like,
Barbie. Just
okay, that's a really good answer to my question. Why was the skunk Hispanic for no reason?
don't know.
Because like
I don't know.
There's a part where like the lady skunk gets turned into a person, and then she goes, "Let me call mis amigos," and then she like calls in a bunch of skunks to like pop out, and I'm like, oh, why is she Latina?
Barbie.
Like, what? I mean, representation,
yeah.
but like, what are we doing out here?
For the Swan Lake's fun and all, but I really want to get to like Princess. I want to get into like my
The good stuff.
defense of because
No, I thought it was fine. I didn't hate it. I was just
Not
like,
on offense, but just like I feel like this is my hot take. I feel like the early 2000s Barbies handle their themes better than the Gerwig Barbie did. Because with Princess and the Pauper, you have like family duty, and you have class divide. That's like your main issues. And there's another film.
I think Princess and the Pauper does very well. I think that movie.
And it's simple. Like it really doesn't try to overcomplicate. It's based on a Mark Twain. So I mean, like it's Mark Twain. There's a lot to go off there as it is. Like it's simple. Like it's only like an hour and 15 minutes, and it has fun. But at the same time, like when it does, like you kind of expect kids movies to be preachy, and I really don't feel like this one is. Like the class divide is there. I mean, it's Princess and the Pauper. Most unrealistic thing about this film, the aristocracy actually helping people pay off their debts. That's what's unrealistic about this film. I feel like, and then like the fact that like both of these characters are like, oh, I'm gonna work to pay off my parents' debt, or oh, like I have to marry this person I never met to save my kingdom because it's my job. I'm the princess. Like, and like the understanding they come to. I don't know. I feel like there's another Barbie movie which really tackles some pretty heavy themes, and I'll get into in a moment. But I just wanted to hear more of your thoughts on Princess and the Pauper, since that was the other one you saw.
Okay, so I watched Swan Lake, and I was like, this is a little boring, but it's fine. You know, I was like, it's okay. And then I watched this movie, not knowing it was a musical going into it, which was a really welcome surprise. It's Prince and the Pauper, the classic Mark Twain tale. It's pretty good, guys. Guys, this is good. I know a lot of you people who listen to this podcast have already seen and heard this movie. This is new for me, man. I thought it was killer. I thought the soundtrack list kind of pops off. I like the humor. Martin Short, literally a fully committed Martin Short.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, more than anyone else, he's murdering this performance. Like he's like
his time of his life.
His villain song with the two bumbling idiots in the cave.
Temporary setback.
He's going crazy. And it's pretty good, dude. It's pretty good.
I love Mark. I love Preminger. He's
pretty good. Preminger is pretty
king
good.
Icon.
He's pretty good. I liked him, and I thought the way they handled like the sort of Prince and the Pauper thing, but also doing like the Barbie like Prince thing, I thought it was charming.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I thought this was a movie that was pretty fun, and I thought it was very charming. I think great for kids. Like I'm super happy that kids got a chance to grow up with this stuff, because it's like this is a good movie for kids, but also, you know, it's fun. It's nice to revisit. You know what I mean?
It is.
I definitely think this is a fun movie to grow up with, because it's like,
oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'll get into this with Barbie, at least what I personally.
That'll be towards the end, yeah.
Right, but in terms of looking at, part of my thing was like looking at Gerwig's Barbie is also like, how does someone who watched these movies look at that movie, right? As someone who did not grow up with these movies, but someone who did, if someone did watch Princess and the Pauper, I do think they would respond to some of the humor. I definitely think the older someone grows, I think the more they would like someone like Preminger.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Gloriously campy. It's gloriously campy.
That's why these are one of the few movies from my childhood that I will actively revisit time and time again. Like there's some movies you watch in your childhood and you're like, what? Huh? Okay. Where these, like, I will go back and watch these now, like a college student, gladly on my spring break. And I still love it. It still holds up. It's campy. Okay. The amount of Barbie movies that end in a wedding. I'm telling you.
I mean, a lot of them probably, I'm going to be honest, a lot of them's got to sell the wedding Barbie toy.
So Princess and the Pauper.
I think I cracked the code.
Princess and the Pauper, Island Princess, Magic of Pegasus, 12 Dancing Princesses. What other ones?
Also, quick question. Can I just say real quick? I think it's an incredible coincidence I watched these two, because the freaking the villains for both of the movies, Swan Lake, look pretty similar, honestly.
Oh, they straight up reuse animation files.
Oh, and that's beautiful. And you know what? I'm with it.
They will straight up reuse dresses, like there's Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses, like she has 12 siblings. They reuse those siblings everywhere.
And hey, look, I'll tell you this, audience, if Disney can get away with it by reanimating frames from Snow White into Robin Hood, I think this movie can do the same thing.
Oh,
you know
absolutely. They sometimes will make the castle, but that castle's used so many times. It's the same writer for the majority of the early, same writer, same producer, same voice cast. It's either Elise or Elaine. Hold on.
Elaine May. Oh my god.
No.
This is what she's been doing since Ishtar. That's wonderful.
It was IMDb. Hello. But while I'm looking that up, written by Elena Lesser.
Okay.
She's one of the writers on all of them.
Okay.
But my personal favorite growing up was 12 Dancing Princesses. Being a dancer, like, it's kind of obligatory. That one has Catherine O'Hara as the main villain, and she devours.
Dude, I gotta start ranking these villains because, like, okay, I'm sorry, Barbie, but I'm here for the villains. Catherine.
Oh no,
O'Hara,
absolutely, you got Catherine O'Hara.
I'm here for her. I love her.
And it's about like, again, like she's a princess, but it's about having to juggle responsibility over duty, because these girls just want to dance, but at the same time, like, they're royalty, so you
gotta be the Power Rangers and save people.
So you have to have, and like the entire time their father's dying, so you know,
vibes.
And that one's a bit more campy. That one's, since this is a film podcast, even though we're talking about kids movies, the one I really, really want to talk about is Magic of Pegasus.
Right, and you told me about this before. Like,
this one is not a musical, actually.
Yeah.
But it has one of the best Barbie love interests. Because it's some of the best banter like ever. Like, it still holds up. And basically, it covers family trauma, guilt and debt, and redemption.
Right.
In an hour and 15 minutes.
And so did Bug's Life.
Bug's Life, I feel that was a bit more of a capitalism critique.
Yeah, go on.
But
grasshoppers eat the food.
We let one ant stand. Anyways, I was rewatching Bug's Life with my friend very recently. We were just like,
it's Seven Samurai, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm like, this sounds familiar.
All right, go ahead.
Anyways,
because
Magic of Pegasus, basically, I'm sorry, the title throwing me off.
Magic. No, I think it's my favorite part about analyzing Barbie movies is that we're having serious discussions about like class, and then we have to say the title every single time. It's great. I think it's lovely.
It's hilarious.
Go on.
Basically, it's about this princess who hates her parents. Like, you suck, Mom. It's not a phase. So she sneaks out. She has a habit of sneaking out of the castle. She sneaks out of the castle one night. This warlock comes down and is like, "Hey, baby, you're hot. Become my fourth wife." Yeah, he's a polygamist dude. Become my fourth wife, or I'm gonna kill everyone in the kingdom, including your parents.
What does this warlock look like? Hold on, let me look at it.
Google it. I forget his name, but just Google Magic of Pegasus villain.
Magic.
You're gonna laugh.
Okay, Magic Pegasus Warlock. Okay, what is this thing?
It's not Warlock. That's not his name.
Come on, Bobby. Come on.
Just type in the villain. I don't know who plays him.
Okay. Wenlock? Is that his name?
Wenlock.
Yo, who is he? Who invited you to the party, dude?
He rides a griffin.
Dude, oh my god. Dude, oh my god. What? Dude, he doesn't just have a handlebar mustache. My bro has a crank mustache. Like that. Like, he's working the waterways with that thing, like up, down.
Anyway.
At least the Hoover Dam. Keep going.
So, this Pegasus swoops down and saves Barbie. I think her name's Annika in this. Yeah, it's Annika. She puts Annika in this. So she swoops down and saves Annika. And Pegasus is like, hey, I'm your sister. And she's like, what? I have a sister? So basically,
Yeah, stuff got weird.
this happened before where Wenlock tried to marry the daughter, but the parents and the daughter obviously refused. So
Here's a horse.
Wenlock turned her into a Pegasus and she ran away. And then the parents just never told her. So hence the family trauma. And they basically discover that she obviously doesn't want to marry Wenlock in 3 days. So they discovered there's this thing called a wand of light. I have to say this with a semi-straight face. And basically, if they get the wand of light, they can defeat Wenlock and save the day. So they start going off on their quest, and they meet a guy named, I forget his name. It's not Derek. Derek's 12 Dancing Princesses. Aiden. His name's Aiden.
I said Adam as like a joke. That's pretty close, actually.
Aiden. And he is this kind of just dude chilling, and so he agrees to help them because she'll pay him, and naturally they fall in love. It turns out Aiden had a severe gambling problem and stole money from his parents and lost it all gambling, so just disappeared from his parents. And yeah, like straight up gambling addiction. And eventually, so like they go through this journey together. There's a polar bear cub who's really annoying named Shiver. And it even gets into greed because like they get into this cave and they're like, take only what you need. So they take what they need, and then like the polar bear messes everything up, like everything collapses around them. It's like, oh yeah, guilt will consume you, or greed will consume you, because then Aiden was also consumed by his own greed. So there's so many themes going on here, and this is an hour and 15-minute movie called Magic of Pegasus. I cannot say this with a straight face.
It's awesome, man.
So anyway, they end up defeating the sorcerer, freeing his wives, which is a little bit uncomfortable watching back a little bit, because I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Because he had 3 wives, most of which were not consensual. But anyways, so eventually then Aiden finally works up the guilt, or not the guilt, works up the courage to confront his parents about his guilt, and they end up like actually forgiving him and accepting him. And so does Annika, like she makes up with her parents.
Oh, that's good.
And they get married. Yay!
Hooray! Wait, okay, so I have a question. What year was that, man? Was that like one of the later ones?
That was not one of the later ones, but definitely later on. I'm gonna guess 2009, 2000. Hold on, let me look it up.
So
2005. 2005.
Oh, that's right after Popper, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, they were swinging, bro. They're actually swinging for the fences. Bro.
Yeah.
I gotta ask. So, is that your favorite of these?
My favorite is 12 Dancing Princesses.
Okay.
But this one is 12 Dancing Princesses is just my favorite because of childhood nostalgia. In terms of like favorites plot-wise, Magic of Pegasus.
Right. I mean, of the two, one I've called boring, the other one I said was good. Guess which one I liked more?
Which one?
I don't know. Which one? I don't know. I was interested particularly because I was like, I knew these were, there was something more here. The one I really want to see, I have a lot of friends who love Barbie Princess Charm School. Like,
that one's so good.
I want to see that one.
Okay. I won't spoil it, but that one really gets into like it's literally about Barbie in a struggling middle-class family struggling to pay off her mom's cancer bills, and she wins the lottery to go to the princess school, and it deals with insane imposter syndrome because she's like, I'm not a princess, I am a middle-class girl. And these are like modern-day princesses, so this isn't like a medieval one.
Isn't this just the plot of like one of the A24 movies? Like, I could totally see.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude, this feels like The Menu, bro.
And eventually, so you can either be she goes to this princess charm school to become a lady in waiting, instead of an actual princess. And like she has to overcome severe bullying and things like that. And then the midpoint of this is the main queen is like, hey, we're gonna destroy thousands of middle-class apartments to build a pretty new park. And she's like, what about my family? And they're like, well, figure it out. And she has to like run home. I won't say anything more because, like, you know.
Okay, I actually do want to check that one out. That
like, it's like, this is a kid's movie.
But it's kind of awesome.
So yeah, but as you like, that's kind of the vibe of these movies. But granted, this being a hot takes podcast, I wanted to kind of talk about how I think these movies succeeded where Gerwig's didn't necessarily succeed.
Right, and I think I'm perhaps on this case on the defense of Gerwig here. I am actually.
I mean, it's a good movie, and I respect for what I was trying to do. There's just something about the early 2000 ones that just hold up a bit better, man.
Okay, so, all right, now we're on to Gerwig's Barbie.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I like it a lot. I think you brought up an interesting point where you kind of described it as like less, not earnest, but you described the Gerwig's Barbie as being like not fully aware of what it is.
Yeah, I don't know if this was earlier in the episode or when I was talking to you about the episode, but I feel like it's not quite always sure of its own genre. So I feel like there is a way you can mix like comedy and dramatic elements, but the comedy is so fantastical and the dramatic moments are so like heart-wrenching, especially with like America Ferrera's speech or the "You're Beautiful" with the lady in the bus stop. Those are all such beautiful scenes, but I feel like they come at a weird time when the rest of the scenes are just kind of so absurd. Like, you can do both, but I feel like this movie didn't quite do it.
I guess this is going to be a fundamental disagreement. At least for me, what it comes down to is when you say heart-wrenching and beautiful, I do think the fantasticalness of the humor, I think, lends to a sense of, like, subtle maturity. I'm not going to imply that something's Chaplin-esque just to say it's Chaplin-esque. Mm-hmm. But to me, there's a sense of, like, okay, I do think the film, while it's absurd, I don't think it's not pointed. The humor is absolutely drenched in a sort of satirical edge.
No, absolutely.
And I do think through that, a lot of the humor comes from that, but I do think a lot of the storytelling is there. I personally love when someone's able to do something absurd, but then be serious on the same turn. Like, once again, I like America Ferrera's speech. I would agree with you, though, that maybe that's a little, like, a little too contrasting, but I do think it works.
Everything she says is 100% correct. Like,
yes.
Absolutely. But and it's just like, I feel like the movie is a double standard in of itself. Because, at least with the animation Barbie, it wasn't about, like, the dolls themselves. It's about the stories we kind of all made up in our minds when we were playing with these dolls. But with Barbie, it's a critique on expectations of women and body standards of women, and Barbie helped create those negative body standards. Have you seen a Barbie doll? Like, I
think that's what the film is kind of tackling in a second, though. I do think the film
is sponsored by Mattel.
Well, look, well, here's the thing. I do think looking at art from that perspective, I do think kind of negates the point. Like, okay, so like for example, I'm not trusting a company. Here's the thing. I think at that point saying like, okay, trust a company that's exclusive. I don't know if I trust a Disney movie, for example, to trust that message. Yeah. My point is this. I do feel like if that's what we're looking at Barbie as, is the company that made it, I feel as if it kind of goes against the point. I do think this, more than anything else, is an earnest project from Gerwig.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel the earnesty in all of that writing. But just the fact that the Mattel logo is there, I don't know. I struggle with
the context that doesn't work for you.
It's I feel like this is an absolutely artistically done film that I feel like could have just been a commentary of dolls in general, but or even like just there's so many other ways you can express how these body standards are driven into you since childhood. Like I feel like there's other ways you could express that, but having the Mattel logo slapped on it, because absolutely, like, Barbie is responsible for so many of those impossible body standards. And what I also think is interesting is the character of Weird Barbie, because this film it talks about how women are beautiful and different, but it only takes into account, like, normal, kind of preppy, your normal women. Because then you have women who are more eccentric, like Weird Barbie, who are ostracized. And heck, they ostracize Madge. Being pregnant is a part of being a woman should you choose it, and yet they ostracize her as well. So then how can you speak about being a woman?
But here's the thing. I do think when you're looking at Barbie that way, it is the purpose of the movie. However, I do think a lot of that is chalked up to Gerwig and Baumbach's humor. I do think it does have a point. I'm not saying they believe in the ostracization. I think they're smart filmmakers and smart people to know that it's not really the point of those things. I guess, really, my thing is, I think it's their view that really, especially Baumbach in particular is like this, where he will look at any sort of situation and just point out the flaws of it. Even in a so-called perfect society, there will still be people ostracized, and I think that is part of the subtext of it.
Yeah, but it's just the women they choose to ostracize that. Because, I mean, they're promoting diversity among women, but you gotta be, like, pink and girly.
I think still the joke is that they're doing it.
Okay, like, I feel like...
Whether that joke works or not,
yeah.
I do think...
And again, I feel like this wasn't done maliciously at all. I just feel like in trying to play for the joke, they maybe didn't think about some of the other subtext there.
That's true. I do think they might have considered it, but still thought the joke in the subtext was part of the text. Like, through the subtext, you can get the idea of, like, still their view of... Because here's the thing. That's towards the beginning of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I would argue that particularly is commented on later in the movie, because the idea originally is that the Barbie place they make for themselves is flawed.
Oh, absolutely.
So I do think them showing them, like, still weird, like, it's a place where everyone can be everyone, except if you're Weird Barbie, you live over there. I think that's part of... But
Weird Barbie, I haven't seen the movie since it came out, but I don't think she ever ends up joining them. Neither does Madge.
No, but I do think that's still part of the text.
I don't think it's still part of the text there, because, yeah, it is, like, kind of this flawed utopia. But I feel like maybe...
Like, Gerwig, to me, offers, as much as we are trying to simplify it as, oh, the movie's, like preaching to a message that's getting to. I do think Gerwig doesn't really offer any easy solutions here, though. I do think, especially with, like, for example...
I don't feel like this movie's the place to try to offer solutions, though. I don't know. I feel like maybe...
but that's what I appreciate about it, though, because it does put the power within the hands of the people who watch it. You know?
Exactly.
And that's what I love about it. And I can't believe we've gone this entire time without mentioning. I just think it's really funny. I think.
Oh no, I think there's definitely it's funny moments. I just, in terms of how, like, we're talking about more so the early 2000s Barbie movies compared to the like the more recent one. I feel like.
I will say this. I will say this though. I do think they are doing different things.
They are.
And I think this movie, I'm not saying it's better necessarily, but I am saying it's more ambitious.
It definitely is more ambitious, but I feel like Barbie and their just being direct to DVD, they're very simple. But because they're so simple, and so short with the runtime, they can really get like with Magic of Pegasus, they're really, and Princess Charm School, they're really able to get across a lot of difficult themes that. And they also don't necessarily offer solutions, but they're able to get across. Where this movie, though it is still an amazingly done movie, it's really, like you said, it's ambitious. And I feel like they can't necessarily tackle everything they've put on the table. Because there's a lot on that table.
I guess for me, I think of the two of us, I think I'm someone who appreciates more of a risk. I definitely love films that maybe bite off more than they can chew.
And I just want to say, I don't think this is a bad movie
Oh no,
at
never,
all.
never is.
I
But
don't
you're
want
just
anyone
saying
to think
comparatively, you think in terms of a Barbie movie, you
in
prefer
terms
how
of
the film did it.
in terms of the Barbie movie, I just feel like the older ones really I feel like the older ones have a more positive image to young women watching them. Because the older ones, they don't talk about body or beauty at all. Maybe they'll talk about pretty dresses, but it's never ever brought up.
But I
And
do think in a weird turn. Now, obviously, I'm not a woman and I can't speak on this, but I do think the way that I do think we can see the proof is in the pudding with Barbie, because I do think there was a very positive discussion that happened afterwards. Because I do think the humor in that is important. I personally am of the opinion that the people watching the DVD Barbie movies grew up, saw this movie, and it kind of taught to me the idea that, like, okay, still keep that idea of being yourself, but we can start having like more direct conversations about what it really means to like exist in a world like this. And I do think a lot of the humor, at least to me, I think is, and I wouldn't say empowering in the traditional sense, but in the sense that you're able to talk about things in different ways.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
I think the gynecologist joke at the end is a symbol of like, and not a literal symbol, but like representative of the idea that like women can have jokes like that as well. Like, I consider it in line with like Paul Feig's work on like Bridesmaids, where kind of the pitch behind that was, this is in the era of like 2000s gross out comedies, like, you know, your Superbads or your that's Step Brothers, that kind of thing. But so to have a movie like Bridesmaids, which very much is like women can do this sort of thing as well. I do think it's the idea that having discussions, like, it's less so giving an objective solution, but allowing humor to take place from a female voice, I think is an interesting
What I was gonna say though is the early ones don't really have any sort of necessarily discussions that can stem from it. It's more about the power, like, these are dolls at the end of the day. They're Barbie. You can do whatever stories you want with them. And these early ones, by having Barbie hop around from like story to story, I feel like for me, it really inspired me to like, you can create your own kind of stories, and they can be silly and they can be fun stories, but at the end of the day, they still have those themes, and you can create it however the heck you want. Where with the Gerwig one, there's still an element of Barbie. You can be anything, but it's still more of the kind of a bit more in the traditional Barbie box.
I guess
no pun intended.
I guess I see Gerwig as less using Barbie as Barbie, but more as a symbol for something else. I do think Gerwig is a bit more of a more embittered filmmaker who's able to like use her messaging for other things. But I do think of it like this. I do think the DVD Barbie movies, this could either be taken as a compliment or an insult, depending on how you want to look at it. But they're more closed off, I think. That they're more like encapsulated in their own stories. They work like the stories work within its own story.
They stand alone.
You take the morals from the story. I do think Gerwig's Barbie is more immediate. It is more open to a greater discussion about it. Like okay, my point is this. I think Gerwig's movie is meant to be discussed in a debatable way where people are supposed to take what they got from it. I don't think this isn't a bad thing, but I don't think the DVD movies were meant to be seen like that.
No. They're direct to DVD, just fun movies you can watch.
Right. And I think that's what's so funny about us doing this, is that we ending it by basically saying, what was the point of all this?
I think for me, I just can't get over. Gerwig is a great director. I can't get over the entire thing being Mattel sponsored. I really can't, because how can Mattel speak on body standards?
I suppose.
Like, if this movie, I feel like Gerwig could have done so much with a very similar premise, not sponsored by Mattel.
I guess, but I don't think they can use the name. I mean, here's the thing. I do feel as if, and I feel this way about horror movies. This is stop it. I feel this way about horror movies as well, where sometimes my point is this, right? We look at specific messaging, and I think when it comes to film, especially, filmmakers find means that if put on paper seem hypocritical. Like, for example, I'm telling you about the horrors of violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I want to make a movie about that, but I make a horror movie about it. On paper, it's like, okay, so you're using an exploitative genre to display a messaging.
So, Requiem
of
for a
theme
Dream.
What is it?
Like Requiem for a Dream.
But I like Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, but it seems kind of hypocritical in its own premise.
It seems hypocritical when
but
you put it
it's
on
not.
paper.
Well, no.
It's not. No, I like that movie.
Yeah.
I like it.
Never again.
Never. That's tough. Like, tough. But when I watch this movie, especially in the absurdism of it, here's the thing. I think I will say this much. It is less of a Barbie movie as it is a Gerwig movie.
That's true.
I didn't know a lot about Barbie before watching it, and I less saw it as this is a Barbie movie as I am, okay, this is the next film by Greta Gerwig.
Yeah.
I think on that term, I think it works better when you look at it as a Gerwig movie. And I think that's the way I looked at it, as the next script by Gerwig and Bombeck. And I think it works better on that term. And I guess learning more about Barbie as it is, I think I've learned that it is a lot more than what meets the eye.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when definitely looking at it, I guess that's the way I always looked at it. Like, it is less, like, when I look at it more as a Gerwig movie, I do appreciate a lot of the stuff more, but in comparison to the other ones, I can understand how a lot of these discrepancies
I just also remember, this is definitely personal and in no way like a analysis of the actual film, so I'm gonna digress a little bit, but I just remember, like, growing up, like, me and my mom especially, we would sit down and watch these movies, and, like, it was a fun time. I remember watching the Greta Gerwig Barbie movie with my mom. It was just me and my mom watching this, and then we looked at each other when it ended, and we were like, huh? Like, I don't know. Like,
I mean, it's obviously not supposed to be looked at the same way as the other ones.
I know it's not supposed to be looked at the same way as the other ones, but I just remember my mom and I looking at each other like, this is what the hype was about? Like, are we missing something here? Like, my mom and I were genuinely, like, for a while, I was like, what are we missing? And I still kind of feel that way with the Barbie movie. Like, what am I missing here? Like, I guess everyone loves this movie, where I'm just like, good movie. I appreciate the directing and the writing, but I can't say I was a fan of it.
That's fair. I guess for me, I think I appreciate this film's, especially in the year it came out, I feel like I just appreciate the film's sense of humor, and especially a lot of the way it tackles its subject. There's a lot of parts, I guess that's the thing. I guess I saw it more as its own film rather than a part of a franchise, I suppose.
I'm not looking at it as like an add-on to the early animated movies. But I feel like this was touted as the film to unite women. But here's my thesis statement.
I do think that's more of what people put onto it.
But here's my thing. I feel like you walk into a room and with a bunch of, like, girls in my generation, and even maybe some younger girls too. I doubt they'll necessarily get all the references. But I feel like the early 2000s Barbie, I started singing I'm Just Like You, You're Just Like Me, or throw a picture of Bibble into the room. So many girls my age are gonna be like, yeah, I remember those movies. It was such a great time. And, like, that's why all of us went crazy when they were on YouTube for, like, a couple of days. Because, like, oh my gosh, it's like our childhood. It's here. But then with the new Barbie movie, I don't know. I just feel like it's definitely a great movie. But can it really just kind of unite a generation of girls like the originals did?
And this is a guess. Looking at the cultural impact this movie, and to be fair, Oppenheimer has had, I'd argue it's gonna have an impact. Like, this is a movie that is gonna be remembered.
I mean, also look at it. Kind of has a similar kind of vibe to Wicked. Like, when it came out, it was everywhere.
I don't think you understand how much bigger that was 2 years ago. Like, Wicked is big now, and people recognize it as a movie. You need to understand that was an actual event 2 years ago. Like,
I remember. I was a camp counselor at the time, and I had kids talking about the Barbie movie.
But there's repercussions from that, I would argue, in terms of people getting into analysis. Like, there are people talking about things from those, maybe less so Oppenheimer, because I'm gonna be honest, I think of the two, I liked Barbie more. Of the two, what do you kind of stand on that?
Call it a draw. I wouldn't say Oppenheimer is Nolan's best, but I also can't say I was the greatest fan of Barbie. I guess the one that had more of an impact on me was Oppenheimer, because I'm more of a historical nerd, and I don't know, just kind of seeing more of like that character piece of like how this decision impacted history. And like we talked about this in the Nolan episode, so I'll save that. Go watch the Nolan episode where I talk a lot more about Oppenheimer. Where with that, like I was left with a lot more discussion points with that than I was for Barbie.
But I guess, well, it doesn't really matter because Wes Anderson's Asteroid City is better than both of them.
Yeah. But I just want to read. I still like it because I know a lot of people might come at me with all the Barbie hate, but I thought it was a decent enough movie. I don't know, just something about the charm of the older Barbie movies will be nearer to my heart and have impacted me more than this film did.
But also keep in mind, I am a cynic. So of course I liked it. Of course I liked the bite of it. I guess I just felt like I like my Barbie with a little bit of bite. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A little bit of bite. But that's the personal thing. So really quick before we end this episode, just for fun, if you had to pitch a DVD Barbie movie, what would that be?
Like one I need you to watch, or one that has
just make it like pitch me. I'm an executive at Mattel. Pitch me a DVD Barbie movie.
Trying to think of what would be a funny one. But what didn't they already do? They have fairies, they have mermaids, they have magic horses. Alright, go ahead.
Alright, so it's one of the serious ones. So I call it Barbie and the Seven Deadly Sins. Barbie plays a detective, and there's a serial killer on the loose who's committing murders based on the Seven Deadly Sins. So her and Sergeant Bibble have to like solve the murder. And then she's dating a prince, okay? So we're keeping with that theme, right?
Yeah.
Same castles before and everything, right? It takes place in a modern day city that's all shot in like monotone, except for the castle, which is the exact same, right?
Nice.
That is the castle. The prince, she's dating the prince. Eventually, the main villain finally rears his ugly head, and it's Martin Short again, right? Martin Short again. He has blood on his hands. Like, hey, Barbie, you looking for me? Is his blood on his hands, right? Gets him in the cop car, and he's holding a box, right?
Oh, goodness.
Barbie goes, what's in the box? And it's the prince's head in the box. And, I was talking with Fincher, and he says he likes this idea. So,
you know what? It's 1:30 in the morning. I'll go with it.
Yeah, thanks for getting my Seven reference.
I've never seen Seven.
You've never seen Seven?
I've never seen Seven.
Oh my god. Damn it.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Ruin the bit.
That's fine. You ruined it. But that was my joke answer. If you actually had to like do
try to pitch a new Barbie movie.
Like, what would you want the subject to be? Would you do a ballerina one, or would you like?
No, Barbie's done a lot of ballerina ones.
What if you did like a tale? Like, what if you did like what would be a funny tale to do? Like,
I don't know. I was thinking earlier. All right, Barbie did Alexander Dumas. They did Mark Twain, and they've done a bunch of other authors. You know who they haven't done? Tennessee
Williams.
I was gonna say Leo Tolstoy.
Streetcar Named Barbie.
I want to see Barbie as Anna Karenina. That's my pitch. Barbie Tolstoy as Anna Karenina.
That's pretty good.
And then
Crime and Barbie.
And Barbie slowly. No, but this is when Barbie is exposed to all of the other characters she played. She's like slowly losing her mind.
The 12 Barbies.
We already had Barbie the 12 Dancing Princesses. It can be the sequel.
Hey.
So, can you imagine Barbie as Anna Karenina and she's like sleeping around with the Ken Prince of that time?
Wait, actually, no, serious answer. Forget the Seven reference. I'm gonna do a Kafka book, actually.
The Barbamorphosis?
The trial with Barbie. Like, she gets accused of stealing a pair of shoes that she didn't get.
Oh no, I want to see Barbie in White Fang, where White Fang becomes like her talking animal sidekick.
Oh my
Oh
God.
no! And
We just
you get the same voice actor who did Preminger's dog in Princess and the Pauper to play White Fang, and Barbie's saving him from the dog bites.
and then the girl comes there and she's like, mis amigos. And then she's yeah. All right.
Or if
So
we did another ballet one, Barbie is in Don Quixote. That's my favorite ballet. I love to see
Barbie and
Barbie
and Black Swan.
Oh, I get a Natalie Portman Barbie.
That would be the scariest thing that ever happened. Horrifying.
Oh, I need to do a whole episode on Black Swan as a ballerina. Anyways,
Darren Aronofsky episode. Anyway, well then we have to watch Requiem for a Dream.
No, I did it once. I'm never doing it again.
Then we'll talk about it. If it's that clear in your mind, we'll talk about it. Okay, fine.
I'm not watching Requiem for a Dream again.
Fine. Anyway, that was our episode about I almost said Darren Aronofsky, Barbie. Yeah, easy thing to confuse there. So what are we doing next time?
What are we doing? Let me check my little notes app. I believe we were doing an episode on a funny little French man.
Me?
No. Are you French? I didn't think so.
No, I'm not French. I just did that for the bit. I'm tired. It's 1:30.
It's 1:30 in the morning.
Anyway, we're doing Jean-Luc Godard, everybody. You might be saying who, and I'm saying good, because Mr. Jean-Luc Godard is one of the lead filmmakers of the French New Wave. Trust me, he's a really interesting guy. He's very weird, very funny.
Jean-Luc Godard makes sense all the time.
Makes sense all the time.
But definitely he's notable for influencing Quentin Tarantino and a couple other notable directors. So
righto. So we're going over him next time. All right.
Yes.
All right. That's it.
Good night, ever. Good morning. I don't even know anymore.
Bye, Barbie.
Bye, Barbie.
Bye, Barbie.
Good night.